Welcome to Plain Explain, where complex ideas are turned into simple stories that anyone can understand. Today, we're exploring one of the most confusing topics in modern life political ideologies. Why do people see the same problem in completely different ways? Why do some believe government should do more, while others believe it should do less? And why do so many people fall somewhere in between? The truth is, political views aren't random. They're built from values, experiences, and the way each person thinks society should work. And when we break these ideas into clear and simple pieces, the political world becomes much easier to understand. So take a breath, clear your mind, and let's walk through the left, the right, and the center, not as opponents, but as different ways people imagine a better society. Politics can feel confusing. Two people can look at the exact same issue and somehow come up with completely opposite solutions, both convinced they are being logical, both sure they're seeing the world clearly. Taxes, healthcare, education, immigration, government spending, these topics often spark arguments, not because people are stubborn, but because they're guided by different political ideologies. Today, we're going to break down the big three: the left, the right, and the center. Not as enemies, not as teams, but as different sets of priorities that people use to decide how society should work. And we'll do it in the simplest, most visual way possible. Let's start with the foundation. A political ideology is a set of beliefs about how society should be organized, what the government should do, and what values should be protected. It's like a lens. When two people wear different lenses, they'll see the same picture in different colors. And most of the time, they don't even realize they're wearing lenses at all. Political ideologies aren't random. They come from culture, family, education, environment, and personal experiences. They're shaped by what people fear, what they value, and what they hope society will become. And importantly, ideologies are not inherently right or wrong. They simply prioritize different things. So let's explore those priorities. We begin with the left. The left places a strong emphasis on equality. The core belief is that society naturally creates unfair advantages and disadvantages, and that government can be a tool to correct those imbalances. Left-leaning ideologies are deeply focused on fairness, redistribution, and collective support. Imagine a scale tilted to one side. The left wants to add weight to the lighter side until things even out. In practical terms, this often translates to social safety nets, public health care, strong worker protections, higher taxes on the wealthy, and laws designed to reduce discrimination and inequality. The left tends to believe that without government intervention, inequality grows, and the most vulnerable people are left behind. To them, a fair society requires shared responsibility. Now let's move to the right. If the left prioritizes equality, the right prioritizes freedom, especially individual freedom. The core belief is that people know how to manage their own lives better than large institutions do. So government should stay small, taxes should be low, and markets should be free to operate with minimal interference. Imagine a wide open road stretching forward. The right believes people should be free to walk their own path without the government constantly pushing, pulling, or directing them. In practice, this often means supporting private enterprise, encouraging competition, reducing government spending, and emphasizing personal responsibility. The right also tends to value tradition, stability, cultural identity, and national security. To them, society functions best when individuals are free, rules are predictable, and traditions are respected. Now let's explore the center. While the left and right focus on their core values, the center is less ideological and more practical. Centrists believe that no single ideology has all the answers, and that good solutions often come from combining ideas from both sides. The center prioritizes balance and flexibility. Imagine a tightrope walker. The center tries to stay grounded, lean slightly left or right, depending on the issue, and avoid extremes. In practice, centrists may support free markets, but also believe in basic welfare programs. They may agree with some conservative economic ideas, but prefer progressive social policies. Centrists look for compromise, gradual change, and solutions that are stable rather than dramatic. But here's the twist. Politics isn't a simple line with left on one end, right on the other, and the center in the middle. That's only the first dimension. A more accurate way to understand political ideologies is to imagine a grid. One axis is economic ideology, left versus right. But the other axis measures the role of authority, authoritarian versus libertarian. Authoritarian ideologies believe the government should have strong control to maintain order, structure, and unity. Libertarian ideologies believe the government should interfere as little as possible in personal lives, maximizing freedom and choice. This grid creates 4 quadrants. You can be economically left, but socially libertarian, or economically right, but socially libertarian, or left and authoritarian, or right and authoritarian. Most people aren't purely left, purely right, or purely center. They're a mix. For example, someone might support free markets and low taxes, right-leaning economically, but also support personal freedoms, like free speech, marijuana, legalization, or LGBTQ rights, which are libertarian socially. Another person might support strong welfare programs and economic equality, left-leaning, but also believe in strict laws, social order, and firm national authority, which leans toward authoritarianism. This is why political conversations often get messy. People assume left or right explains everything, but in reality, people hold a unique mix of beliefs based on the issues they care about most. Now let's explore some common misconceptions about ideologies. The first misconception, the left equals socialism and the right equals fascism. This is not accurate. Socialism and fascism are extreme ideologies found at the far ends of the spectrum, and most people, even most political groups, are nowhere near these extremes. Using these labels in everyday discussions only creates confusion and conflict. The second misconception, the center is just indecisive. In reality, centrists can have very strong beliefs. They simply value pragmatism, choosing what works, over what fits a strict ideology. The third misconception, ideologies are about intelligence. This is false. Left, right, and center all have smart people, thoughtful ideas, internal logic, and blind spots. Politics is not a test of intelligence. It's a reflection of values and priorities. So why do people choose different ideologies? Part of the answer lies in psychology. Some people are more comfortable with stability, order, and tradition. They naturally lean right. Others prefer change, reform, and experimentation. They lean left. People who dislike extremes often lean center. Another factor is environment. The country someone grows up in, the type of community they live in, and the values of their family all shape ideology. Economic experience also matters. People who feel left behind by the economy often lean left. People who feel rewarded by their independence often lean right. Nobody forms their ideology in a vacuum. It's shaped by thousands of small moments in their life. But here's something important in real-world politics. Governments often mix ideas from both sides. For example, many countries have free market economies, but also provide public education, healthcare, and social support. Many right-leaning governments still support certain welfare programs. Many left-leaning governments still encourage business growth. Modern societies rarely sit neatly in one category, and many individuals hold beliefs from multiple sides. Someone might be left-leaning on social issues, but right-leaning on economic ones. Another person might be centrist on economics, but strongly libertarian socially. People's political positions often shift across different topics. Understanding ideologies matters because it helps us make sense of why people disagree. It reduces frustration. It reduces stereotypes. And it makes political conversations less like battles and more like explorations. Imagine 2 people arguing. One says everyone should get equal access to healthcare. The other says people should have the freedom to choose their own healthcare. They're not disagreeing about whether healthcare is important. They're disagreeing about what they value more, equality or freedom. When you understand the underlying values, the conversation becomes clearer and more respectful. So let's summarize everything in a simple way. The left prioritizes equality, fairness, and the use of government to improve society. The right prioritizes freedom, personal responsibility, and limiting government power. The center looks for balanced practicality and blended solutions. And outside this line, there's a grid authoritarian versus libertarian, adding another layer to how people think about politics. People disagree not because one side is wise and the other is foolish, but because different people value different things. And that diversity of ideas, when expressed respectfully, is part of what allows societies to grow. If you enjoyed this explanation and want a deeper dive, there are many more political concepts you might find interesting. Things like the authoritarian-libertarian scale, the political compass, why nations shift left or right over time, or how values shape political behavior. If this breakdown helped you understand why people think so differently about politics, then you're already ahead of most political debates. Ideologies aren't about winning arguments. They're about understanding the values that shape people's choices, fears, and hopes for the future. When you know the differences between the left, the right, and the center, and when you realize that most people are a mix of ideas, political conversations start to feel less like battles and more like opportunities to learn. If you want a deeper explanation of the political compass, or a guide to terms like authoritarian, libertarian, populist, or moderate, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching Plain Explain. Stay thoughtful, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.